All faculty members, students, all faculty members and students are very aware of attendance policies at colleges throughout the nation, some being more strict than others. At Southwest Mississippi Community College, the policy is that if you miss more than 6 days on a Monday, Wednesday, Friday class, or more than 4 days on a Tuesday, Thursday classes, you will be kicked out of the class no matter what your grades may be. These rules can hurt students in a very big way. Some people may believe that going to class helps your grades, but in some cases and under certain circumstances, most people think that going to class every day is mandatory. During my research, I found many different studies that only focus on the positive effects of class attendance policies and few that talked about the negative. Sarah Griffin, a sophomore at Indiana University, says, "I don't think attendance should be mandatory because at the college level, students have the right and responsibility to prioritize their own time. I think that it would be unfair for a student to be penalized if they, for instance, choose to forego a lecture in favor of working on a semester project. Although classroom attendance does help to make better grades, it is not completely necessary." Sam Artley, a senior studying social relations and policy at Michigan State University, said she does not agree with mandatory attendance policies except in the case of lab work because it is usually completed in class with very little work outside the classroom. Attendance and course performance are positively correlated, but to be kicked out of a class and receive a 0 should not be the punishment. Students that are truly smart and are trying their best shouldn't have their GPA destroyed because they accidentally overslept. It is up to us as students to change this unfair rule at our colleges. After this speech, I hope to show you that there are other ways of getting students to come to class, that attendance policies are taking away from the student learning responsibility, and that not all students are the same. Some are self-teachers. I will now explain how there are other ways of getting students to come to class rather than attendance policies. If college required a student to pay a small fee each time the student missed class, then he or she might be more likely to come to class. This method is controversial because college students are often on a tight budget. Another way to get students to come to class is through participation points. Professor Keel Marshall teaches media and film classes at DePaul University and does not implement a mandatory attendance policy. Instead, she gives her students the opportunity to earn participation points via weekly quizzes and discussion questions. Since most students want to earn their participation points, they generally come to class, even though attendance is not mandatory, Marshall said. This policy works well for Marshall and saves her a lot of time and hassle. It's beneficial to me because I don't have to worry about marking who's there, who's not, who's late, who leaves early, she said. And additionally, I don't have to haggle with students over any grade associated with excused and unexcused absences. One reason students don't come to class is because of the teacher. Some teachers make class very boring and students simply hate going. If teachers did things to make class interesting, there would be no need for the attendance policy. Students want to learn, but it is very hard for them if the teacher does nothing but lecture for the entire class period. Teachers should interact with the students and make coming to class each day entertaining. Students also do not want to attend a class if they feel they are not learning anything. In my research, students often said, "If I am not learning, then why go?" I will now explain how attendance policies take away from the students' learning responsibilities. Responsibility is a big part of college and growing up, but when students must attend class every day, they feel as if they are still in high school. College students need to learn that if they don't attend class, they will do poorly. It is their responsibility to wake up each day and go to class, but when they are being forced to go each day, they never develop their own responsibility. Attendance policies may be effective at getting students in the class, but may be less effective engaging minds in learning, said Jonathan Golden. Meaning that it is up to the student to go to class and learn, not the teacher nor the school's attendance policy. College students should be treated as adults. Students want to do great things with their life and understand that making grades is necessary to accomplish that. After all, that is the whole reason they are in college. Now let's talk about how some students are better at teaching themselves. Attendance policies greatly hurt people that teach themselves. Why should a student that learns nothing get nothing from going to class because of constant distractions be forced to go every day? Of course, these students must go regularly to know what to study, but if they choose to study the material on their own as opposed to going to class, he or she should not be kicked out of class. If these people are making good grades, there's no reason for them to be punished. Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg, and Steve Jobs, founders and leaders of 3 of the most successful tech companies in the world, are autodidactic or self-taught. These men actually dropped out of college to pursue their dreams. They needed no teacher. So if 3 of the most successful men in the world didn't need to go to class to become successful, why are we punishing others just like them by forcing an attendance policy? In conclusion, during my speech, I gave you enough information to know that attendance policies are hurting college students, and now I'll summarize why it's important to change this. Myself, being a college student, have noticed how attendance policies have hindered me. I've never been kicked out of a class and received a 0, but I've been close. Knowing that if you miss one more class meeting, you will be kicked out is enough to affect your grades. Not necessarily in that class, but each time I study late for a different subject, I know that my time will be cut short in order to get proper rest. Cutting my study time short for more important classes in order to attend a class and have a perfect score in has caused me to make poor grades on several different occasions. Knowing that classroom attendance policies have hurt me and many others, why would colleges and teachers continue to enforce them? College students need to learn responsibility on their own, not because attendance policy forces them to. If colleges want more students to attend class, they should be open-minded to a few things I've mentioned in this speech. There are many different ways than to enforce an attendance policy. This hurts autodidacts as well as many other students like myself. If Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg, and Steve Jobs were so successful without following an attendance policy, why should the rest of the nation's college students continue to be affected by it? We as a student body are the only ones that can change this. I encourage you to help me show that just because we aren't in every class doesn't mean that we can't have great grades and make a difference in the world.